What's going on, guys? And welcome back to the channel. And hey, before we get into today's build, guys, I just want to say, if you're a fan of, the guys from the '60s through the early 2000s, those legends of the game, then this is definitely the channel for you. Or maybe if you're someone that's younger and you may want to get some names of guys that over time they've been forgotten, then I would definitely say subscribe to the channel, guys, because that's literally all I focus on. And if that's content that you enjoy, I would greatly appreciate if you would posterize that like button. That would help me out a great deal as well. And with that being said, guys, let's get into today's build, okay? So I know I've mentioned it a few times, guys, that I'm in several different groups on Facebook and things like that. That and there's a lot of basketball discussions and things that go on. And one of the things that a lot of people will talk about is a player's handles, and you see a lot of guys come up. You see guys like Kyrie. They'll talk about Steph. They'll talk about AI. One of the names though that I feel like isn't mentioned nearly enough in that conversation is Tim Hardaway. Because while I know Kyrie and those guys, I know that they have tremendous handles. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying that Tim Hardaway, he had the killer crossover, guys, and I mean that was a move that even though you knew it was coming, right, and you know that the defender knew it was coming as well. It still somehow it managed to to cross them up, right? He still got away with it. He got to the basket, you know. So I feel like, a guy with that move and as lethal as it was, the fact that he's not talked about more is just, it is crazy, to me. And he was a really good point guard too. I mean, he really was. I mean, he was fast. He could put up some good numbers on you. And I mean, anyone that watched him, especially in those early days with Run TMC, I mean, they know how good of a player he was and how fun it was to watch that style of basketball. And I truly believe, guys, and I mean, I'm not taking away anything from basketball today. I'm just simply saying, could you imagine, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullen on a team today, with Hardaway running the point and Richmond and Mullen with their shooting ability? I mean, just imagine how fun that would be to watch, guys. I mean, it would just be so fun, and it's, and I'm not saying, trying to take away, saying that there aren't great teams, because even the Warriors, with Steph and Clay and Draymond and, those guys, I mean, it's a very good team. I'm just simply saying, could you imagine, how fun it would be to see Run TMC in today's NBA? I mean, it would just be so much fun, I think. And, it's just one of those things that, we didn't get to see it long enough, really, because, the trade, and I know I've talked about this before, but I really feel like, that trade that, Golden State did with Sacramento to get Billy Owens, sending when they sent Richmond north. I really feel like that they didn't, they made a mistake, plain and simple. I mean, because Mitch Richmond, he was a tremendous shooter. He was a really good player, and Owens, he just unfortunately he never panned out in the NBA. So. But with that being said, guys, let's get into today's build, okay? So look, guys, we know with the Tim Hardaway build, we're gonna have that playmaking because we want that ball control, right? The question is, which one are you going to do? You know, and I've looked at several different ones, right? This one looks good. Um, and then if you go up, this one, of course, that looks good because of everything that comes with it. But the thing is, guys, and the reason why I'm going to choose this one, right? The one that's 50-50 shooting and playmaking, is simply because you're getting a little bit better finishing with that. And Tim Hardaway was able to finish around the basket, but I don't want to do, I don't want to do like a yellow and blue simply because of what it does to the shooting, right? Because Tim Hardaway, he was able to shoot, and he had a nice shot. So I want that to be in this build. Um, so I feel like this is the way to go. Um, and but like I said, there's other, there's other ways that you could go with this, guys. You could do, the more playmaking with less shooting, or like I said, you could even go the blue and yellow route if you wanted to. This is just the way that I see it, because I want that shooting there that he had. Um, Now with this guys, with our finishing, I'm just going to basically put close shot and driving layup up. And then for shooting, I'm going to max out everything on the shooting. And then I'm going to max out everything on the playmaking as well. And that's just to get those badges, right? Um, because we're going to need those badges. And, you know, it seems like, I did this build a couple of different ways. And this was the way that it worked out best, right? Just to me. And then we'll just put these other 37 that we have left here. So if you look at it, guys, you've got 1 finishing, 25 shooting, 24 playmaking, and 6 defensive. Now, if you're somebody that you're not worried too much about the defense, right? Then you could certainly you could take this down if you wanted to go like if you wanted to go heavy on the offense, and you could put this up, and get some more of these finishing badges. You could certainly go that route. It's ever how you wish to build it. Okay. Um, Me personally, I like this simply because Hardaway wasn't an elite defender. I just did it this way initially to show you, in case you're someone, because I know there are a lot of people out there that, you may want those defensive badges, and you may want that, those attributes on the defensive end. But me personally, I feel like you're going to be able to do a better Hardaway build this way. Um, you know, and I just wanted to show you the defensive way first, and then the way that I would do this build if it were me doing it. I know that Hardaway wasn't a big dunker. I know that. So I know that, the dunking isn't really, true to a Hardaway build. But, again, I did that for those 6 finishing badges, and I'm going to show you why. Okay. So here, guys, Hardaway, he was pretty stocky. He was 6 foot, 175, I believe. And so if we look, guys, for this, guys, look, you could leave it the way that it is, right? I mean, there's no need to mess with this. You could take it down, I guess, if you wanted to bring that ball handling up even more. Um, but me personally, I feel like this is okay, right? I mean, this right here's, you've got everything that you're going to need with this, right? And let's look where we are now. So we know once we get to 99, we're getting a +4 across the board. So we're going to have a close shot of 85 with a driving layup of 84. So around the basket, guys, with the badges that I'm going to choose for this, you're going to be able to finish really, really well, I feel. Okay. You're shooting, you're going to have a mid range of 94, so you're going to be very, very lethal from mid range. Your 3-point shot will be a 91. You'll be deadly from the outside. You'll have a free throw of 94 and a post fade of 87, even though that really wasn't something that Hardaway had in his game. Like I said, I did that more or less just to get those badges, because I feel like on a build like this, guys, because you are going to be playing undersized against a majority of the people that you're playing against, whether you play, on the courts, or if you play my career, the point guards are typically going to be taller than 6 foot. Um, so you want some of these extra shooting badges because of that very reason, right? And then your pass accuracy, that's going to be a 92. You're going to have a ball handle of 95, which is going to be amazing. You're going to be able to do, that killer crossover. You're going to have the handles that Hardaway had for sure. And then you'll have the perimeter defense and lateral quickness of 79. So with that, guys, you're going to be able to hold your own, right? You're going to be able to, I'll just show you, because you really only need, one of the two badges on defense, right? So, if we look here, guys, look, if you're doing a Hardaway build, I feel like this is the best takeover for a Hardaway build, right? Because if you look at it, the playmaker takeover, playmakers can freeze defenders more often with augmented ball handling abilities and can enhance their teammates' shot making off assists. So, more or less what you're doing with this, guys, is that the ability to freeze those defenders like Hardaway was able to do with that killer crossover. That's the reason why you want to go with that, okay? And guys, I mean, there is another amazing point guard from the past that I feel like. I know I did a video the other night on Mark Price talking about, talking about how he was ahead of his time. But yeah, uh, Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, he was definitely ahead of his time. And some of you may know him as Chris Jackson, but he was definitely. I mean, he was ahead of his time. Imagine him playing in the NBA today, where you're not. You don't have to worry. You don't have that, that restrictions on you for shooting those threes as deadly as he was. Um, it would just be really, really fun to see, so. And let's go ahead and let's get in here and let's look at some of these badges, okay? So this is the reason why, guys, I really wanted to get the 6 finishing badges, right? Because we want Acrobat on silver. Um, we want layup on silver because, again, remember, you're a smaller player, right? So you want those advantages. And then the other one is slithery finisher, right? So Acrobat, that boosts the ability for layups that have a high degree of difficulty. So I feel like Acrobat and Giant Slayer, because if you look at it, guys, you're going to be, when you're driving to the basket, a majority of the time, you know, the the defense that you're going to be facing is a big man. So I feel like with Acrobat, the fact that it boosts the ability of that layup that have a high degree of difficulty, plus Giant Slayer, which heightens the effectiveness of layups over taller defenders. I feel like those two are going to play off of one another really, really well with a smaller build like this, and it's just going to make that those layups to where they almost always drop. Um, and then of course slithery finisher. That's just to avoid, because you are a smaller point guard. That's more or less just to avoid contact as much as possible when you're going for layups. And like I said, guys, I mean, are there other ways that you could do this? You could do posterizer or anything like that. But on a build like this, guys, listen, I feel like those three that I chose here on silver, they work really, really well off of one another. And that's the reason why, when I do certain badges, guys, I try to do badges that work well with one another, right? Because if you look at it, I mean, these three alone are going to make making layups with a smaller build a little bit easier, because they're going to be boosting it so much, and the fact that you're not going to be getting knocked off balance because of the slithery finisher, that helps you a little bit more. So now, guys, for the shooting badges, we do have a lot. We have a lot of those. So yeah, I feel like with this, guys, stop and pop, hot zone hunter, Limitless. We'll do that on silver because you're not going to necessarily shoot a lot of threes with this, but um, when you do pull up, you do want to be able to knock them down. I'm going to do chef on Hall of Fame as well because that increases the range for off the dribble 3-point shots. And where you're a point guard, you're almost always going to be pulling up off the dribble. Then you could also do Deadeye and Blinders. And then for the other three guys, look, you've got a couple of options here, right? You could do Clutch Shooter, which I feel like is a really good one. You could do Difficult Shots, okay? Because that basically, because with this build, guys, it really depends on how you're going to do it. If you're going to be pulling up from 3, then you're probably not going to want difficult shots, right? Because it basically improves, the ability to shoot difficult shots from the mid range. You could do Sniper, right? You could do Mismatch Expert because you are going to be a majority of the time the smaller player. With that, and those are one of the three that I would go with. Okay, me personally, I feel like Mismatch Expert's going to be the best because you're always going to be the smaller player. I feel like at least the majority of the time. So I feel like that's going to be a good one. I would say Clutch, guys, but again, that only boosts your ability in those clutch moments. So I feel like, the last, few seconds of a half or, a quarter or the game, I feel like, this is going to, come into play the entire game. So I feel like, from that standpoint alone, it's more valuable, right? So, and again, that's just me, guys. I mean, if you want to do something different, you could. If you wanted to do lucky number 7, you could do that. If you're someone that, you're going to, run up the court and, you're going to put up a shot really, really early in the shot clock, you could certainly do that. But, with me, I feel like Mismatch Expert works really, really well because you're going to be undersized. And, these other ones, like I said, Blinders and Deadeye, those are both there because, again, you're undersized as well. Chef, because you're the point guard, you're going to be pulling up a lot. From behind the arc, and that increases when you're pulling up off the dribble. So that's just what you want. You want limitless 3-point because that's going to increase your range a little bit. And the good thing with that is you're going to be able to, of course, spread the defense a little bit thinner. That's going to make playmaking a little bit easier. Stop and pop, guys. That's just there because you are a primary ball handler, and hot zone hunter is, it's there because once you get those hot zones in place, that's going to, basically double down on all of these, right? So now for the 24 playmaking, and I really wish that we could get, more playmaking badges when you max that out. So, but I feel like Ankle Breaker, I like to, I want to put Bell out on this because it is a smaller build. And if you do go in there and you just get an animation you don't like, and you pass out of it, that just increases the chances that, that's not going to be a turnover. Bullet Passer, Dimer, you want Unpluckable for sure. Okay. Quick First Step, you want that on Hall of Fame. Now, guys, the other ones, I mean, there are different ones now that you may want to look at, okay? You may want to do Needle Threader. You may want to do Space Creator, Handles for Days, Tied Handles, Stop and Go. Me personally, like the one that I feel like should be there is because you're a smaller player. I feel like you want Space Creator, and that's just me personally. Because you are a smaller player, you want to be able to create as much of that, that separation as possible. But with the Tim Hardaway build, guys, I will say the Stop and Go is another good one. It's very much Tim Hardaway-like. But, I'm just looking at it from the standpoint that, you want to be able to create that space with this build as well. So I mean, if you wanted to do something like if you wanted to take Dimer down, and actually this is probably the way that I would do it. I would actually probably do it this way, right? Because I feel like that's a much better Hardaway build in my book anyway. Um, and I really feel like that works really well. So look, if we look at what we got on Hall of Fame, we got ankle breaker, bullet passer, quick first step, unpluckable, and stop and go, with space creator on gold and bailout on bronze. So I really feel like that's a good badge layout, guys, for a Tim Hardaway build for the playmaking. Now you've got the one defensive badge, right? So you have to look at what you're facing. So if you're facing a lot of pick and roll situations, you want to do pick dodger. If otherwise, I would go with clamps, just because again, you're a smaller defender, so you want to be able to stay in front of whoever you're guarding as much as possible. So you want to do clamps. If you want to do intimidator, you certainly could as well. It's just because you're a smaller player, guys, you want to be able to stay in front of someone, and if you have no issues doing that, I know that there's some people that they're able to stay in front of their man, even without clamps, and if you're able to do that, then I would say go with intimidator. But if you're facing a lot of picks, pick and roll situations, then I would say do pick dodger. But intimidator, for someone at 6 foot, that would really help you in altering shots and getting some more misses. But with that being said, guys, I really feel like, this is a good Tim Hardaway build. If you've not watched Tim Hardaway play the game, I would definitely recommend checking out some of his highlights, guys, because he's a really underrated point guard. And, guys, look, if you're someone that you enjoy those legends of the game, and, that's something that you enjoy, or if you're someone that you're younger and you would just like to get an idea of some of those great players from the past, especially ones that time's forgotten, then this is the channel for you. So I would greatly appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. And also, if you enjoyed the content, leave a like and let me know in the comments below, guys. Maybe some legends that that you would like to see me build. I know that I've had at least one submission thus far, and that's a build that's going to be coming very, very, very soon. So I look forward to seeing some more. But with that being said, guys, have a wonderful night, day, evening, wherever you are. Have a good one.